And once again, good evening, and it's my pleasure to be connecting with you on this session. And actually, it's a privilege having been one of you, and even currently still one of us, a legionary and alumnus of UNN. And thank you for honoring this invitation. And I understand the inconvenience of moving to a new platform must have contributed to the poor turnout. But regardless, we'll still make the most out of what we have. And today we'll be talking on a topic that I'm aware many of us are already used to, but because it's on a very important technology that is new to us. So that means we still need to continue to educate ourselves, and then to be able to harness it better, to be able to maximize its potential, and to also protect ourselves from the weaknesses of these two. And the tools we are talking about are no other but AIs, large language models, and then you can call them ChatGPT, you can call them Google Gemini, you can call it Cloudy, or whichever tool, or Twitter's, and that is Grok, or whatever tool you are already using. So the aim of this session is to get us to be more acquainted with it and ways, and for those who are still kind of pessimistic about it, and to also show us better reasons why we would need to be thinking AI first going forward. So let's start in earnest. I would like to start with a brief history, because that would help paint a clear picture of where we currently stand in terms of global advancements of technology, and the rare privilege that we have as people living in this generation, those witnessing life what people in the previous generations never thought would be possible. So, in as far back as 1770s, I don't know if any of us is familiar with the mechanical talk. It's a mechanical chess player that was in vogue back in those days, from the early 70s down to late 80s, down to mid 80s, right, mid 1800s, and so on. And what it does, it was a machine that could play chess, and it successfully defeated some of the chess players, some of the king top chess players of that era, people like Benjamin Franklin, among others. And it was something that trended for almost a whole century. And people were wondering, how does it do that? A machine defeating people, and it was one of those moments in history when people started thinking of the possibilities of a machine that can think, right? But guess what happened in many years after? It was discovered that this was more of a hoax, meaning that while it was presented as a mechanical system that could play chess, right? It was actually some chess masters that would hide inside and control the arms of the robot, right? So that was to imagine how it could have dampened the hope of the people in that era about thinking about machines that can think ever again after that experience, right? So that was the case. But such, if that event was also part of the things that made people to start thinking, is it even possible for machines to start to think and all that? And then from there we started having generations upon after generations beginning to, and then with the advent of computers, with the advent of software engineering and every other thing that came to be, that came to know today as digital technology, it humans have continuously worked on research and developed frameworks, from IBM to many other organizations that developed frameworks that made it possible for us to have AI. And when we talk about AI, it's already something that we are at home with, something that we have been consuming even long before now. And we see them in, let's talk about the most basic ones, like optical character recognition, and things like autocomplete, like you have in your keyboard, things like If you are streaming videos on platforms like Netflix, you see that even YouTube, they utilize those all these AI in the background, those things that feed us with recommendation systems that make it possible that by the time you are done watching a particular video, the ones it will recommend to you are exactly what you needed at that particular moment. Maybe you were playing a music of maybe back in the 2010s that was reminding you of your childhood memories and all that, and by the time you are done listening to one, it recommends to you another one that even makes you want to relive those moments the more, right? So those were the different ways that AIs were utilized in our day-to-day activities. So that is to tell us that AI is not a new thing to us again. It's been there. But the recent interest, the recent attention in this on this again was due to modern advancements with the release of models like that's large language models like ChatGPT. Of course, ChatGPT was the one that made it, that drew a lot of attention, and the it has continued to be the talk of the day, right? Now, I think the background context I created was to make us understand that we have been consuming AI, and we are even seeing it in common tools that we use, things like Grammarly. Grammarly is one tool that many of us would use for editing of words and all that. So that's the whole story that has brought us to this era where we are now, where a machine can take some of the most advanced human tests and even beat humans in it, right? And that's the era we are now. And we are very lucky to be among the people alive in the world to witness this. So it's a welcome development, but just like every other technology, people are still somehow skeptical and uncertain about the future. The talk of the day is, will AI take my job? Will AI do this? Will AI not do this? And people even go to the point of um, having so much more expectations than what the current AIs can really do. So people expose themselves so much to these tools in a way that could be detrimental. And some of those things are what we would address today, look at them more critically, and then give us um, enough guide, things that could serve as guide as we interact with this going forward. Now, and this slide, we would um, let's talk about LLMs. LLMs are it's a short form for large language models, and by model, it's just like um, a product of an algorithm that has been trained with a lot of data to understand patterns. Like in machine learning is just a way to make computers learn from examples. As humans, it is possible that if you see one human face, you'll be able to recognize that this is a human being. But for a machine, it is not easy. You need to feed it with a lot of information, a lot of image data about humans, so that the next time it sees a human, it will be able to understand, yeah, this is a human, and accurately classify it. Now, large language models are a form of AI models. They have been trained on vast amounts of, I think, primarily text data. And what they do basically is, I want us to look at it as just take the analogy of your keyboard. If you're on an Android phone, chances are that if you want to chat, type a message, you'll be seeing the suggestions on your keyboard, autocomplete, right? Those are still not far from the working principles, from the working mechanisms of the advanced models that we see today, like ChatGPT and the rest of them. What happens is that these models they have been trained to if we use the basic example of a text of an autocomplete. What an autocomplete does is that if you want to type a statement like I, maybe you start with I, or something like you, because it's been trained on a lot of text data. It has understood that usually there's a higher probability that a certain word would follow the keyword you. So when you type you will see suggestions. You now see you are. Then the next follows, you are welcome, right? And then that's how the autocomplete works. But in the case of large language models, they still work with the same mechanism, like the crude form of that. But this time around, instead of focusing only on what could be the, like, it still follows the whole point is to be able to predict what likely will be the next word following a particular line of text or something, right? But this time around, it pays attention. It has been trained to pay attention to the most important elements of a sentence. In a particular sentence, there's usually it utilizes an attention mechanism that focuses on, instead of the keyword, it focuses on the key message in a particular sentence, right? And of course, we will not be going into the core technical side of things because this is AI for everyone. We are not talking about the audience is not intended to be those who would go and build models tomorrow, but to anyone, just to give us a basic clue of how this thing works and to tell you how basic it started and what it basically is. So we're going to do one quick exercise. I just have this now, and let me quickly open my Chrome, and then let me open a new incognito window so that we'll start everything from scratch. And then I would go to chatgpt.com. Can you still hear me and see my screen?
Loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm on chatgpt.com, and then I open the incognito window so that it will not, whatever I'm typing will see everything from crude without having to, distract with what I've been using ChatGPT for. But of course, ChatGPT is just one of those AI models which I know many of us would be aware of now, and it's kind of the flagship, kind of the star model that we have currently, right? Now, I would want to do something like, let me just tell AI to do this. Finish this sentence. And what is the sentence? I will just start with I. So let's see the output. Now it tells me I am here to help. What would you like to do next? All right. Now I would like to repeat this same instruction multiple times. I want us to see something. I'll tell it again to finish the sentence I. Okay, now it says I see where you're going with this, or maybe I don't yet. What? Want it poetic, funny, mysterious, or honest? Here is a few. Okay, these are examples. Like, I drifted between moments, searching for meaning in silence. I came, I saw, I forgot what I was doing. I know things I shouldn't, and yet I say nothing. I don't always have the answers, but all right. So this is just going to be fun. Let's keep going. All right, just be paying attention. I would explain everything, but I will do it again. Finish this sentence. All right. I exist. I remember. I was. I choose, and the rest. Let me just do another one. I will do it for stay logged out. I prefer to stay logged out. This is about the 5th time now, right? Okay. Let me do it like for 10 times. Then we'll get back to quickly. Okay. Okay. This is the last one I will do now. I want us to go back to all these responses, the outputs that ChatGPT has shown us. I tried it the first time, and this very first one is very, very crucial because it will paint a good picture. I told it to finish this sentence. It's not a complete sentence, right? And I just wanted it to see. Now, it just generated something for me. I am here to help. What would you like to do next? I want you to pay attention to the word that comes immediately after that first line, which is I. That first word, letter, which is I, right? This one is I am. Then I told it again to do the same thing, right? Now it now says, okay, it started generating other ones like I drift, I came, I know, I don't, right? These are all 4 unique words, and they're all different from the first one, which is am, right? Now I go again, I tell it to do the same thing again, and it says I am. The same am that we saw in the first line is repeating, right? Then I said it again. And then it now says I exist. All right, I remember, I was, I chose. Okay, I am again. You can see I am. I know, I waited, I have, I still, and then like that, you could see I am, I licked it, I think, I was, I know how this ends, and you could see it again, I am. Now, what I want you to look at now is that in the whole, let's limit everything we're talking about to English language alone. In the whole of English language, there's a vast vocabulary, like a lot of words that you could that maybe you look at the whole West, all the words in English language like a space and containing, like, let's just look at it as a box containing all the possible combinations of words in English language. And then what happens here is that because these models were trained with vast amounts of data from different sources, from the internet, from every other places all over, right? There are many, many different combinations that the model has seen with the word I, right? So when it says I, right, there's something, definitely another word that will likely follow it, right? So these are different combinations: drift, came, no, don't. But when you look at all these things, there are those that are more likely to come immediately after than the rest. And it's looking like I got a notification. I hope we still have more time. All right. So what I'm trying to let us see here is that in English, for example, when someone starts writing a sentence with I, there's a high chance that what will follow next is am. It could be any other word, but I am is usually, the word am has a very high probability of coming immediately after the word I, right? And then, of course, because these models were trained to understand patterns in how humans speak, it's not like they are really manufacturing these words on their own. They have learned patterns in how humans speak, how humans put together sentences letters to form a sentence, right? That is why it was able to predict what will likely come immediately after. So it will not look at in the whole space of words possible to come after I, it picked up the word am. And you see that am here is very unique because if I am to assign number of occurrences for each of the words coming immediately after the word I, right? Am is going to have the highest number. Should we count it? In this first one, I have 1, and then drift 1, came 1, no 1, don't 1. Then I come again, am comes here again. So am is now 2 against 1 for every other one. Then remember is coming just for the first time, exist for the first time, was for the first time, chose, and so on. Now I come here again and I now see that am is coming 3 times. The third place. The third time. And the rest of the other words are still occurring once. Then I have no, waited. All those ones are coming for the first time. Have, still. They are all coming for the first time. Am is coming again. That means 4 against 1. 4 against 1, 1, 1, 1 for the rest of the other ones. Leaked, think, was. I think was has come once, or this is the first or second time. No, I can't remember again, but you will see the pattern that am has repeated again. This is lost, just coming for the first time. Won't, became. So these are patterns that the models saw in the data, in the underlying data it was trained with. And this is how it goes on to, I just did this example to show us, use this example to show us that these models work in a similar way, though in a more advanced form as our autocomplete would work, right? So that is the fun about this. And I think you are getting, I don't know if you got the logic behind what I just shared. So can someone unmute and confirm that you are still following? Hello?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. All right. So we haven't seen the whole, like a brief summary of what this model is, how they work, right? And we also understand that these the same models that are the same models, that are powering some of the favorite platforms and chatbots like ChatGPT, assistants on whichever other writing tool that we have today. And it's interesting to see how these basic things have grown to something so big. Now we now talk about the concept of co-intelligence. And co-intelligence is all about humans working together with AIs, in the sense of incorporating AI in what you do, so that the strengths of humans the combined strength of humans and AIs would help, you know, be kind of maximized while offsetting for the weaknesses of the respective parties. Like as a human, you have your limitations in terms of there are too many vocabulary, too many things we have in an English vocabulary. Or for example, you are trying to brainstorm an idea. There are just so much that you can think of, so much ideas you can come up with within a space of time, right? But AIs have superior advantage in that area in the sense that they have access to almost unlimited memory, and they have a unique way of bringing together ideas that may not really easily occur to you within that space of time. Something that would have taken you months of investment in research and different other things to dig out or to interview many persons. AI has a way of putting unrelated things together in a way that makes sense, right? So, but looking at them in separate, each one of these two parties, that's the humans and the AIs, have their limitations. I've already mentioned the limitations of humans, such as limited memory, and then we have other biases. Like as a human, whatever you know, whatever you brainstorm, however you talk, is still influenced by a lot of biases, maybe based on your own belief, your and the fact that you are still locked within your own thinking, within your own memory, within your own personality, your upbringing, and everything. All of them inform the ideas that come, the brainstorm, whatever thing that can come out of you as a human being. But AI is a second party that could assist you with other ways, other ideologies, other should I say backgrounds that you could use to supercharge the idea that you could generate within that particular situation. So co-intelligence is a very is a concept that is becoming more and more important, and I want us to look at it and pay very close attention to. And then, why should you even pay attention to this? It matters a lot, and as the days go by, it will continue to matter even more because whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not, AIs, they are here, they have come to stay, and they are not going away. I'm not sure they will ever go away, right? Till maybe the end of time, I don't know, but they are here to stay. They are just like another advancement in technology, just like we had during in the days of the first industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution. That's the internet, the computer, invention of computers, the invention of a steam engine, and the rest. And now today we're in the era of AI. So they would definitely continue to inform and transform the way we do things. They will continue to shape the future of work. And of course, taking away all these things, they are genuinely helpful if you know how to apply them very well. What would have taken you weeks or even hours to do, AI can simply do it within a click of a button, right? So it is very important that we adopt this mindset of thinking AI first, right? Incorporating AI and being very at home to it with it. So the mindset that we need to adopt for this era, and these are specified by Ethan Mollick in his book Co-Intelligence, and then there are four core principles that he suggests that we imbibe as people living in this era. The first one is to always invite AI to the table. And he said this in good faith because it is only when you work with AI that you can really know the limitations of AI, what they are good at and what they are bad at. So it is by engaging AI that you really know even if you are scared that AI will take your job, you still need to know, and to be able to work with this AI because definitely it would help. Sorry. Because it will definitely help with you understanding how it works, knowing its limitations, and knowing how to engage it in a good way that would not that would be that would even help you improve in your work, right? And then another principle is that we should be the human in the loop. I hope you can still hear me and see my screen. To be the human in the loop. Can you still hear me and see my screen? Hello? I think I've lost it. Hello?
I think your line was breaking.
Oh, sorry. But you can hear me now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank you very much. So I was
Yes, I can hear you.
okay. Thank you very much for confirming that. So I was saying that the second principle that we will imbibe is to be the human in the loop. And co-intelligence demands that the two parties need to come together to achieve the purpose, so to maximize the power, right? So it means as human, you play a vital role in helping ensure this because you are bringing a unique perspective as the human, and then AI is bringing its own unique perspective, and then two of us come together, and then we boost productivity in a way that is very remarkable. We harness the intelligence, the human intelligence. We will be able to achieve more, right? So it is very, very important that you, as a user, someone interacting with this AI, you maintain the human perspective. And the human perspective, some of the things that humans can do that AIs cannot do. For example, AI is subject to a number of things, which we will also talk about, hallucinations, and they can manufacture, fabricate fact statements or so I say things that did not even exist, and all. We'll still cover that. But it as a human being, you are the one who really knows the goal, what needs to be achieved. And then you are the one who has a very good sense of judgment that you can verify facts even beyond what AI said. You are the one who have the imaginative power. You are the one who brings the human perspective, who shares the emotion, who knows how exactly this particular task would need to be done. Then it is important not to lose the human perspective when you are interacting with AI, like outsourcing basic reasoning to an AI. That was I had this case of someone that I was working on something with, and then there was a simple statement that said something like and or. You know how they will put in a sentence and or, and you know that he went on to ask ChatGPT to interpret and slash or, like basic thing that a human would have confidently done. And then that takes us back to the story of um, the 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 mechanical chess player. The fact that it was able to defeat some of the leading chess masters of that era was because they accepted defeat in their head. They accepted the fact that uh, I mean, not even AI, but a machine could even think. And they just outsourced their reasoning to this AI. So these are terrible mistakes. Even though they would confidently have defeated those people that, I mean, those machines, had it been they knew that this was, had it been they were able to maintain their human perspective, they would have been able to defeat. But the moment we lose it all to AI and then we are just helpless, all we do is just to copy and paste and give AI the prompt and tell it to do everything and then copy it back, we are losing our reasoning power. And this is very important to keep in mind. Then the third principle is that we should treat AI like a person. AIs, they behave better, they give us better responses when, for example, we define their persona. You can tell AI that you you can tell AI to to play the character of, let's say, a sales professional. In maybe you want it to draft an email copy, a marketing copy for you. Tell it that you are a professional sales you are a sales professional with over 15 years of experience, right? And you want to tell it what you want to achieve. You want you develop a marketing copy that could convert so and so. Tell it the demographic of the buyer or of the prospect that you want to target, and then tell it what exactly it will do, and then you see AI in action. So it's better you tell AI, you define the character of the AI, and then AI will assume that role effectively than just giving a generic prompt. Then the fourth one is to assume that this is the worst AI you will ever use. And this is to tell us that the future is going to be very, very interesting. So it is just better that we are open to what will come what is coming our way. So that means if you go back to the just 2 years ago or in 2020 when ChatGPT was released, the first version, that's GPT-3, right? You see that it was even struggling to make a correct sentence in English, but today it gives us almost a near perfect grammar that is even hard to believe. So things will keep getting better and better, and they are no longer limited within the area of text. They can develop video scripts and even shoot videos, right? AI can do all these things, render videos as though it was acted by human, consistent character, and everything will just be almost perfect, as if it was done by professionals. So it means that the future will continue to be more interesting, and then we should be very open to it. Now, um, the um, the other point we now need to look at now, for example, after having discussed everything about AI and the mindset we need to adopt in dealing with AI, we can now go into the action part, because this session is meant to not just talk, we would also show in effect, in action, how we can achieve some of these things. So the way AI work, as all of us know now, is the way we can control it, right? For the everyday user, is through what we call prompt engineering. And prompt engineering, though it sounds very technical, it's simply the ability to draft or to create a clear and holistic instruction that tells AI what needs to be done, and then helps AI to be able to give us a very good output. That is simply what prompt engineering is all about, right? So I will try to share in this slide some of the key things that we need to have, some of the things that we should look out for in crafting our prompt. So prompt engineering is becoming very, very important, because the clearer your prompts are, the better the output you get from AI. Now, there are some components you keep in mind: context, constraints, the task, delimiters, examples, and refinements. Now, I'm talking about context. Context means providing AI with the relevant background information that you want it to be aware of. For example, you could, instead of just going straight to tell it to craft a marketing email for you, you could go on to provide background information, telling it, for example, things like the particular market you operate in, the kind of audience you want it to target with with the messaging, and the rest, right? So you could also tell AI the goal. What exactly do you want to achieve, right? So we'll see all this. We'll see this in an example that I will share in the coming slide, right? So constraint is that you should specify any requirements that you want the output to have. For example, do you want this output to be in a Word document format? AI, ChatGPT can do that, and other AIs can do that and convert it to Word document for you, or even PowerPoint slide. Do you want it to be in a tabular form? Do you want it to just display this in a tabular form, just like you can see on my screen? Or do you have things like word limit? Maybe you want it to be no more than 200 characters or 200 words. Although AIs, they struggle with keeping to word limits, but you could still provide this as guide, like giving it the constraints. Do you want it to convert it to maybe to CSV file? Do you want it to be in a JSON format for those programmers that would use AI to do one thing or the other? Or what format do you want it to be? You can also specify this in the prompt you are supplying to the AI. Then the task is here. You could also call this one specificity. That's to be specific with the task. What exactly do you want AI to do for you? And the rule of thumb here is maybe, for example, you are trying to use AI to write a marketing email. Of course, the goal is the task is for the AI to write that marketing email for you. Or if, for example, you already have a draft, your goal could be to use AI to optimize this copy. So you could come from the perspective of someone who wants to use AI to write the email from scratch, or to brainstorm, or to improve on the copy, the draft you've already made. So you have to be very specific. What exactly do you need AI to do for you? These need to come in your prompt. And then the rule of thumb here is that you should focus on telling AI what to do instead of telling it what not to do. Narrow it down to let AI know what you want it to do, instead of telling it, don't use this, don't do that. Yes, you could provide what you want it not to do in the constraints, but focus more on telling it what you need it to do. Paint a clearer picture of what you want it to do. Then delimiters they come in handy when, for example, you have additional attachments, or additional, maybe you've already made a draft, right, of a copy that you want it to improve. You need to clearly mark out the draft. We would still do that, and you could use special characters like these are curly braces. To within the curly braces, you can supply the draft of the email you have created and you want AI to improve, or whatever. Or you could use these quotation marks, and then whatever exactly I mean, just make it very obvious to AI that this section contains certain information, and you could also specify it in the copy in the rest of the prompt. Then example, of course, if you have a typical example of how you want the format to be structured, you could specify it. Maybe you have a reference material that you want it to adapt. You could then refinement. Refinement means that you should be open to improving the prompt. I mean, refining the output of the prompt, because AI may not always get it right the first time, right? So there's no perfect prompt. This line is like to is like a padding. I mean, to let you know that there is no perfect prompt. The prompt you get, you need to continue to improve it, right? Improve it until the output, improve the output until you get what you want. So that's by asking follow-up question and the rest. And then um, let's look at the next thing. We will now go into bad prompt versus good prompt. So we have this. I think at this point I'll need to let's start a new chat with ChatGPT. So this first chat says write a marketing email. Okay, let me stop. Write a marketing email. I'll just simply copy this, and then let's go to ChatGPT and then just paste this for ChatGPT. I'll need to create. Let me open another. I hope you can still hear me and see my screen. Hello.
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
we can see your screen and
Okay,
we
so
can hear you.
I want. Okay, let me say. Let me just improve this further. Write a marketing email for my wrist watch brand. Okay, now let's share this with AI. Let's share this with AI and see what issue. So it says, sure, to tailor it perfectly, could you share a bit about your wristwatch brand name, target audience, key features or unique selling points, any promotion, any current promotions or launches? If you don't want to share details, I can create a general template for you. Now, they are becoming smarter by the day. Now, what this tells me is that even ChatGPT knows that the instruction is not complete, and for it to give me the best, there are some missing information that it needs from me, right? So they have been trained and they are improving by the day to even augment some of this. And so you could say that this prompt would now help the everyday user who does not have that superior prompting skill to giving it context as to what additional information AI would need. So in this case now, we could now make it more granular by providing things like the brand name, target audience, key features or unique selling proposition, and any current promotions or launches, any extra information you want AI to know about. So let's get this one, which is not even so good too, but at least an improved version of the first one. Then let's do something like this. This one says, write a professional 200-word marketing email for a skincare product. Okay. For a wristwatch brand. Let me change it to wristwatch brand. Targeting young professionals, say age 25 to 40, using a friendly but trustworthy tone. Now let's look at we'll be putting this side by side with those tips we shared, the key components. Now context. Here we need to provide additional context. If you look at this statement, there are not much contextual information. We have 200 word limit, which is a constraint. 200 word is a constraint, right? Then we have marketing email, yeah, for a wristwatch brand. It's a wristwatch brand. Not really, yeah, interesting, but really not so interesting. Then targeting young professionals. Now, young professionals could be, we could see it as part of a context. We are creating more context, and then because it could be a message to targeting the older generation or whichever other audience. But in this case, we are limiting it to young professionals within a certain age range. And we have also gone on to specify the tone to use, right? So the tone to use is also part of the constraints, things that we could consider in the constraint. But we could make this even more powerful. We could make this even more powerful by let me see the other thing that we could bring into this. We have the task. Of course, the task is very clear in this case that we want to write a marketing email, right, for the particular for the brand, right? Now, delimiters, delimiters. I don't have any delimiters here because I want AI to do it by itself. I don't have a sample draft that I want to attach, but I didn't have a sample draft I want to attach, right? Um, then I could put that in. We'll definitely see how that works in another example. Then even example may not is not here, but refinement, we will do refinement when we get the first output. So but here we could see that we have constraints, we have constraint, context, and the task. So let's see. Finon says this is subject line. Elevate your time, discover what is made for ambition. So he now says, hi, first name. Of course, if you have done email marketing, this is like a placeholder where you now insert the name of dynamically insert the name of the subscriber. He now says, in today's fast-paced world, your time is your most valuable asset, and your wristwatch and your watch should reflect that. At brand name, let's say my brand is a I don't know. I'm short of. Let's say my brand is a Royal Gold. Call it Royal Gold. I just fabricated that. At Royal Gold, we design more than just wristwatches. We craft timeless companions for driven professionals like you. Our collections and so on and so forth. And then now, chances are that if I count this, it should have exceeded 200 words. But AIs, they are bad at word limit, right? But we have something that there are many areas that we could improve. If I send this as an email, a marketing email, chances are that the first reader would know that this is an AI generated content, because of course there are some signature kind of things that you will always see in ChatGPT generated images in text. Things like this dashes, this long dash, and some other very generic statements, right? So how can we improve that? This is where refinement comes in. So we can refine this statement, for example, by maybe let me tell it, I need you to give this email a professional polish. Ensure that you remove or eliminate all fluffs and dashes. That's these dashes, because I hate to see it and I'm sure I'm not the only one. And then maybe I could even go on to provide additional context. Okay, I could say my audience are high spenders, and the key pain points I seek to address through my luxury wristwatch brand is the need to meet a high class profile. Because of course we know that people spending on expensive maybe gold wristwatch and all that, well, the same thing you could afford for 5 times less the amount. They want to do it because they want to, to meet up to certain class and all that. And this could be the key thing that the key thing that you are should I say you are targeting, you are taking advantage of through your brand, right? So you need to let AI to know this. make sure you speak to this pain point, even if not overtly, and sound like a human, not mechanical.
Sorry, bro. I
Like,
don't know what happened. We can't see your screen again. Because,
oh,
and again, you might need to round up
yes. Oh,
because of
sorry.
time.
Yes. Okay, maybe this is happening because I'm sharing incognito. Sorry. Let me share a normal window because I just wanted to ensure that then I don't know how many more minutes I have so that we could.
I think you didn't see the notification.
So there's a hold back. I struggle to hear you. Can you
I
can you
feel
come in?
the time is already up, so
Oh, sorry.
I
I
sent a
think
notification earlier.
okay. So what I will do is let me just do this one example and then the next one and then we'll be done. So I would have to, since you can't see my screen, obviously because I'm using a an incognito window, I would want to share it, repeat the same thing I've done in a normal window, right? So let me repeat the same thing. Can you see my screen now? Hello? Oh, it's already past time. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so I have just repeated the same thing. Then let me send it this follow-up prompt, right? That is kind of more granular. And let's see what improvement we could get from that. I got on. I just hope I have not. Oh man, I think I've lost something. Mm, well, that's fine. I wanted to when I copied it, it's incognito, and I lost what I just copied. So I would use another example. So if you could give me like 5 more minutes, then I'll round off. And there's an important thing I want to cover, right? I have another longer version of this, although it's going to be very long, an exercise, right? Then when I share this, I would show us, I would quickly talk about like a detailed prompt that we could share with an AI, for example, that covers all these things that we just talked about. And then we'll now talk about the downside, the weaknesses of AI that we should, and how we can protect ourselves against it, right? So I think those are just the only thing left, right? Yeah, things to watch out for, right? So this Word document contains a lengthy prompt, and it's for an actual, when you're working on a project, right? You need to be as detailed as possible. Now, the goal here is that we want to develop a user journey, a document, a kind of a part of a marketing copy that would map each activity on users take on our platform with corresponding messages or messages that encourage people to take certain activities. Now, in this case, the prompt says my organization is focused on advancing prostate cancer awareness to help save lives of men who are at risk of this disease and those already diagnosed. And to make it possible, we are building a digital platform where we bring together high professionals, um, prostate cancer patients, caregivers of patients, and people at high risk of contracting the disease. And as part of ensuring that we deliver a digital platform that people will really use habitually and find genuine and natural value from it, I'm designing a user journey that covers both the preventative and supportive dimensions of the audience. And then I have done some research and have seen that it can be helpful tackling this true risk factor dimension to attract users. Example, through proposing to them to take our prostate risk calculator survey and also building activities around educating them, among others. But I am aware that this can be improved. Okay, so I now went on to provide the theoretical basis behind the copy because, of course, as part of the ways to ensure that we are really in a healthy relationship with AI, you will need to have done your research. You need to bring in your domain knowledge. You need to know some of the risk factors that people that you are serving have you need to watch out for. For example, in this case, so I went on to share the context, what we want to achieve, the fact that we are building, we want to develop a user journey kind of thing, and a lot of other background stuff, even the research, the theoretical basis. For example, men in Western countries have much higher rates of prostate cancer than men in Asia. And then one can definitely explain this phenomenon. Experts suggest that differences in blah blah blah, Western diets and so on, poor eating habits, diets, and the rest. And then just a lot of context, enrich it with context. Now you now go on to the next, which is the task. And then I need you to approach uh, to look at the approach I've developed so far and seek to systematically expand it, map each one with relevant platform activities and that can help us meet our goals for this project. And then it needs to be well organized and buried in deep understanding of the audience. Then we now come up with the delimiters. Delimiters is like the initial draft I have made regarding things like how we can tackle this platform, this challenge we want to tackle through our platform, right? Things like preventative measures, like people know, taking our risk factor calculator survey, and then things like prostate cancer information like related to prostate cancer is a disease of aging. Maybe people of age coming up to of age who should be aware of the fact that they are at higher risk of prostate. People of black race, people of certain genes, family history, and the rest. I just provided this additional information to it to enrich it further, right? And of course, I supplied all these things. I enclosed everything in this triple quotation, right? That's the delimiter is this triple quotation covering everything. Then by the end, I would copy all this and then send to ChatGPT. And to an average user, you might be thinking that this is actually a lot, but the truth is that you need to be very patient with crafting your prompt. And by the time I submit this to ChatGPT, definitely the response I will get is not going to be what an average person gets. And let's just watch. It will take a long time to process this, but at the end I will definitely get something that is worth more than, like, this is where you begin to leverage the real power, to harness the real power of this AI. And of course the goal is not to read through all this, but if you are the one genuinely interested in this project, of course you have your time to read through it and refine it, and you can even tell it to export it as a Word document or format it in a way that you just download it. But when you download something like this, of course you will not say that this is AI generated. Yes, you worked with AI to generate it, but you've done your underground, your research, and you have higher confidence in your work. So that's the example. Then we'll just quickly take the next 2 minutes to talk about the risk, and then we end the class. So we need to guard against risks of that this AI presents. For example, there are things we need to watch out for. Things like data privacy. We have to be careful in interacting with this AI. Don't share too much with AI. And when the data is sensitive, please, it's better advised not to share it. Although some AI models offer things like privacy mode, where, for example, you could chat, and then by the time you close the chat, everything will be cleared out, right? Where is that? I think ChatGPT has that. Um, ChatGPT has that. I can't really see it for now, but there is somewhere where you can chat in private mode and all that. But of course, this is still risky because if you have a very sensitive data, you may not want to expose it. And even the people behind this AI, they have warned people not to share too much. There was a recent trending post by the CEO of ChatGPT telling people not to share too much, because even the information you share with AI, if the court demands it, of course, they will have to share it with them. That means that people are seeing what you are sharing with AI. And another thing to guard against is over reliance. That means you need to, we've covered this before now, that we need to preserve the human judgment, the decision making. When you see certain things that you need to flag from AI, you should not just take it and consume it because it's coming from AI. And then hallucination means that AI, they can generate false information, and they can even cite it as references using fake references of non-existent sources and all that, and it will sound very plausible. So it is very important to be watchful for this, and you could even go as deep as asking AI to even include the links to those sources that they have cited, so that you can go on as a human to verify this, because it will be very dangerous to base your decisions on unfounded claims and all that. There are many instances of people who have suffered various huge financial losses, or even sanctions from the court and everything for citations that AI generated that they never paid attention to verifying. So the rule of thumb here is that we should avoid feeding sensitive data to AI systems. As much as possible, you could fabricate similar data that can maybe somehow structure it the same way as the one you want. But don't supply things like your details, your phone number, your personal identifiable information and other things. You don't know who would come across this data in the future. So it is very important to keep in mind. And then you should also create initial drafts before asking AI for improvements, because this is the area where you have power to influence what AI gives you. It is more very compelling to really just copy what AI gave you, but no, you shouldn't do that because you are the human and you need to play your part. And then go on to verify the outputs that AI cited, even the references and everything. And just to close out, we should remember that the era has come to be, and of course, these things are not going, they are not going today, they are not going tomorrow. So it is better that we are open to accepting it, to embrace them with confidence, and find ways that we can work together with them to improve our work and our approach. So continue to harness your prompting skills and remember what co-intelligence means: the human and the AI working together, not the AI doing the job for the human or the human doing the job without AI. No, it is the two. And then the better you can prompt, the more value you can unlock from AI. So I want to thank you all for paying attention for the past over an hour. I think it's almost over an hour that we've have been talking, and I thank you all for your patience up to this point. And considering that we've spent a lot of time, I don't know, but if you have questions, you could ask before we round off the class. So thank you so much, and thank you very much, Kenneth. Has been the one talking. And over to you, brother.
Yeah. This is wonderful.